Perfect.
Nice, cool.
On the line.
All right, on the line. So the way that I teach the initial stance, and there are situations where you're going to be more bladed if you plan on being more defensive, if you're a taller, longer fighter, and there are situations you're going to be more square if you're being more aggressive, Triple G, Mike Tyson style, you're a smaller, more aggressive fighter. But the stance that I teach is your default stance. I'm a firm believer that when you start, my feet hug tight to the line, toe to heel. Yep, my weight's 50-50 on my feet. All right, when my weight's 50-50, to the best of my ability, all right, I'm always trying to gravitate towards my weight being even on my feet. There are specific moments and situations where you might be a little farther back or a little farther forward, but generally, if your weight's 50-50, you got access to all your tools, okay? Cool. From here, I bend my knees, my hips are neutral, the line of my feet should match the line of my shoulders, should match the line of my hips, okay? So everything's together. It almost looks like I'm just kind of standing square, and then I look over to my left, and then I pick my hands up right at my cheekbones, and that's where I want to be. And that looks really, really good. I'd make one tiny adjustment, bring this in just a little for me. Yep, I always imagine I'm looking over my left hand like a sight. That elbow is a threat, and that's why you bring it in. If you're here, I can just pop shot your center line. You want to make me risk moving into that power side hand if I want to hit your center line. All right, don't give me anything for free. Yep, so I'm not here, I'm right here, nice and strong. That looks great, beautiful. You understand this stance. Stepping in for me, stepping out for me, stepping left for me, stepping right for me. Beautiful, okay? One thing that's a really important thing to remember, especially when it comes to learning and developing boxing, is forward and left are the same as far as boxing is concerned. Backwards and right are the same as far as boxing is concerned. All right? All of the footwork, all of the techniques that you would have. Anything I can do moving forward, I can also do moving to my left. Anything I can do moving to my right, I can also do moving backward. And that's really important to remember because there are not a lot of fighters, even at the high professional level, that can fight moving backwards. But if you recognize that, moving to my right is the same as moving backwards, you can practice these more complex sequences, bang, 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 bang. And if you do moving right, you do moving backwards. Moving laterally is a lot more accessible to people than going back. Okay, cool. Some quick terminology in my system that you already know. The side of your body if you're open to is your open side. The side of your body if you're closed to is your closed side. This is the whole porch dog thing. You got it, okay? So your close side angle is a step and pivot. Let's see. Here. Yep. Good. And that's okay. All right, let's talk. All right, so I teach deep angles, short angles, and lanes. Those are the positions that you're playing in, okay? If you want all of the benefits of taking this angle, I want you to step that left foot right here and then swing 90 degrees over. That's right. All right? Because from here, you've cleared my cross lane and you're behind my elbow. So if I want to hit you with anything, I've got to compromise my stance. I've got to twist back in on myself to land that shot. If you can get that deep, you are briefly safe from anything that I can throw. Okay? Cool. Back to stance. If you do what you did before, which I would call a short angle, it's a 45-degree angle. Let me see that again. There you go. Now, you've cleared my cross lane, but I can still hit you from the far side with the other hand. So you're safe from half of what I can throw, which takes your right hand out of the equation. This hand needs to be up to keep you safe, but you can attack my center line with that hand, whether it's a jab or whether it's a five. That's a short angle, okay? And then the last position I teach is just a lane. You already know what a lane is. You step to a cardinal direction, just straight to your left, stay facing this way. Good, don't pivot at all. Yeah, not even a little bit. Because now you can line me up for your three. And you can throw a three on your far side. That's what I call it. I follow the most basic rudimentary punch system. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just straights, hooks, uppercuts. I know different people have different number systems, but as somebody who has to communicate to people, especially on YouTube, I can't have my own specific.
And just real quick, just to get out of the way, big deal with boxing. Your hooks, you want to pivot like this?
Yep. So again, there's one thing you may notice about my channel. Right? Here's something funny about my channel. I very specifically don't ever talk about technique.
Okay. That makes sense.
Because everybody and their fucking uncle has some stupid fucking opinion on what they think is good technique.
I don't know.
I don't know. And the honest answer is, it's all good if the context and the tactics supporting it are correct. So when people ask me about the hook, I prefer, if it's a nice, well-structured 90-degree hook, I prefer palm in. Because I think palm in protects everything's in alignment with my hand. I'm either hitting here or I'm hitting here. palm down if I'm close. If I hit deep, I'm going to break my pinky knuckle. And if I hit shallow, I'm going to break my thumb.
Yeah.
But really, the hand orientation just has to do with distance. You know that. You know, if I'm close enough to hit these knuckles, then I get those knuckles.
Yeah.
If I'm farther, I can't hit these knuckles without slapping, so I turn it over.
Yeah.
But I always want to make sure that I'm spiking with these knuckles. So for longer hooks, for the fucking Soviet hook, it's palm down.
Yeah.
For the proper hook, it's palm in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's just like hitting your knuckles. And you know, if you go and watch MMA, you look like Fedor Emelianenko and all those like Russian cats and everything like that. They throw what they call a casting punch, where it's like a straight arm long shot, some world star hip hop shit, like this. But they literally lead with the back of their hand. That's the idea, you know, because they want to make sure that they land on those knuckles. That's the important thing. Triple G does that really well too.
Yeah.
You can see when he goes through a nice, well-structured hook, it's palm in. But when he's throwing those long hooks, his palm is like away from the person who leads with those
I
knuckles.
think he learned the palm in
Abel Sanchez.
Yeah.
Yep, makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, and I like palm in because, like, again, I have a great exercise science. You know, when I turn my hand in like this, I'm using these bigger, stronger muscles in my bicep to support that elbow.
Yeah.
When I turn my hand like this isn't engaged anymore. It's little tiny muscles, my brachioradialis.
Now we're talking about muscles.
Yeah.
So what is your take on elbow?
Elbow, what do you mean?
On
With the hook? Yeah, I mean, from a physics standpoint,
Yeah.
you are going to hit the hardest. You have the best combination of speed and structure when you have your elbow following the path of that movement. You know, so like again, forgive me, I can work this back around. This is the only bag I can just tee off on. You know, so when I'm throwing my hook, if the force is coming up and across like a shovel, I want my elbow right behind it. If the force is coming straight across horizontal, I want my elbow right behind it. That's it. So I don't like being down like this. I prefer to be up like this. So when I throw that shot, as I structure it, I end up in a position that I can follow through on that shot. If I end up hitting like this, well, my fist hits, but then my elbow keeps going without driving into it, and it tweaks the wrist.
Yeah.
But if I'm up here, my fist hits, and all that force that's coming behind it, my elbow arm drives that fist through the thing that I'm hitting. So I prefer to get those elbows up. Now, you wouldn't want to get those elbows up at the cost of a tap. So it's a funny, close range. So it's a funny thing to think about when I throw that shot. I need to throw my elbow up, not out. And it levers my fist through. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah. And we'll talk about that more as time goes on. Of course, I love the U.S. question. This is my favorite people to work with. Sometimes, forgive me.
Is there anybody by the name Matt here?
No Matt.
No Matt. Good.
No. Take care, my man. Yeah, no Matt. Vincent and Anthony, that's it. That's my business partner is Vince.
Yeah.
He does all the jiu-jitsu and judo stuff. And then I do the striking, boxing and kickboxing stuff.
Yeah. The softer.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. All right, yeah, so like I said, lots of rules on positions for punches. You wouldn't even want to throw a hook unless I was on your far side. That's the idea, you know? And so kind of. So here's the thing. So if I'm standing right here, this back is not on my far side, right? It's right on my center line. I'm slapping the shot. If I take an angle and I try to throw the same punch, well, I'm still slapping the shot. I have not put the bag any farther on my side.
Yeah.
So that's why lanes come in. I stay facing the same direction. I step straight to the side so that I position myself.
Yeah.
That's a lane. Just cardinal direction. You stay facing left or right. So if we're fighting each other,
That's what the Cubans teach.
isn't it beautiful? That's great. That's great. Tony Lewis said that when I used to work with him because he spent a lot of time working with the Cuban team down there.
I haven't been there yet, but I watched the national coaches.
Yeah.
This is fundamental.
Yep.
On dynamic strength.
Yep. And again, the Cubans have a extremely, just like I like to think about, a very defensively sound, positionally based system. That's what I do, you know? Keep everybody safe. All right, so strong stance. So if you just take a step straight to your left, there, now I'm on your right side. Now you can be safer. And you're not in front of me, so even if I caught that, I can't throw back and get you. You know what I mean? The problem with hooking on the line like this is if you hook on the line, not only can I hit you before the shot, because you got to wind it up, it's going to hit slappy, and if you throw it, go ahead, then I'm inside of your defensive fight. We saw Crawford clean up Canelo for the first half of that fight with all that catch and pitch work from the same side. Bang, 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 bang. That's where the opening is. You know, I always tell people, if you're fighting somebody who sucks, the rules don't matter. You just beat them up.
Sure.
But if you're fighting somebody who's an educated boxer, you know, we're fighting each other. It feels good for you to block on this side and throw the right hand, but there isn't an opening. It's better for you to block on this side and throw the left hand because there's an opening. You're guaranteed that you're inside of my defenses. That's the place you want to return from.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you saw my fight with Sherrod from a couple summers ago, TDT's teammate in there. But like, I think we titled that video "Catch and Pitch Lesson."
Okay.
Because he was just always willing to hook on the line with me. I think he's used to knocking guys out on the line, and we just catch fire, just tore him up inside of his punches, which was a lot of fun. Not for him. Okay, so again, these positions. So you take a lane, and that sets you up to throw that 3. Beautiful. If you took a lane this way, that would set you up to throw the 4. Bang. Beautiful. Okay? You take a deep angle. So there you go. Now you can throw anything you want, but the highest percentage way to attack is always center line first. Okay? So you look at Triple G, you look at Roy Jones Jr., you look at Mike Tyson.
You mean like I'm throwing the hook?
Exactly. Yep. So you always want to attack center line first, through my guard. And that's for a couple reasons. The first one is that it's people's instinct when you move off to the side of them to defend in the direction that you are.
Yeah.
So they're likely going to cinch up the right side, so you want to split their guard. The second reason is it's a more fleeting opening. If you don't attack this really early, they're going to turn, you're going to miss that shot. You know? So the safest way and the highest percentage way for you to attack when you take an angle is in between the guard, behind the guard. You know, so you get over here and you could throw like a 4 and then like a power jab. Bang, bang. Beautiful. Or you could throw a 4 and then a rip to my liver. Bang, bang. Those are all great shots. Yeah, did. Hip straight out. All right, that's the idea. I call that a rip. Yeah. And this is because, you know, you throw that 4 and best case scenario, it hits and then it hits. Second best case scenario is I block it, but it creates an opening on that far side because I tucked all my defenses in. And the third scenario is you go to throw that, and I turn, I catch this shot, but then that shot that would have gone behind my guard now goes through my center. Make sense? Yeah. So again, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you recognize that, oh, high-level guys attack center line first when they get angles, now you're going to see everybody.
Just because I don't understand the range.
Yeah.
It kind of, so in my understanding,
Yeah, please.
the 45 step pivot, I think it was long range. Like
Yeah.
I usually do it on that long range.
Yeah, and if you're from long range, you can throw straight punches from there. Yes. I like to throw it with an uppercut.
But would you say that the deeper angle
Yep.
is a long, would you say that's a mid-range?
It's mid-range. You can be inside, you know?
Yeah.
That's the thing that's hard, you know? So like, one of the things that a lot of my athletes say to me is they say, Coach, we spent all this time talking about angles. I've been sparring for 2 months and I haven't taken a fucking angle on anything, you know? And it's because they try to take it from too far out. You know, you're never gonna get an angle from way out here. If I'm not even in range to land a punch, I gotta go so far, I gotta cover so much distance, such an obvious movement, that person's either gonna meet you or they're just gonna step away. You're never gonna get that position. The nearer you get to somebody, the easier it is to take those angles. So from way out here, it's really hard to take a deep angle. But imagine you and I are guard to guard. We're here, okay, now take that angle. Oh, it's fucking easy. It's the easiest thing you've ever done in your entire life. You know, and on top of that, not only is it easy to do, but you can make contact all the way through. So when I take that angle, I like to do this, where I put my head right on the wrist and I pull myself through by the elbow. And then it's easy. They can't even turn to meet me if I'm pulling myself through by the elbow. Because if you turn to meet me, I'm just going to ride with you and I hold that position. You know, so you look like Bernard Hopkins is spectacular at controlling elbows. Floyd Mayweather, watch his fight with Shane Mosley, spectacular at controlling elbows. He catches elbows, he just lets that guy walk him right to where he wants to be. The guy's doing all the work for him. You know? But again, it's just a distance thing. It's geometry, it's radius. The longer that radius is, the more distance it's got to cover to make that same degree of rotation. You know, so you can feel from way out here, you try to take that angle, that's a journey. From the middle distance, you try to take that angle, that's a lot easier. And from the inside, we're like touching each other, you try to take that angle, that's the easiest thing you've ever done. You barely step,
Oh.
Yeah, this is high behind your shoulder, pin it. There you go. And then you clobber like James Tony right in my center. That's like one of my favorite moves where I'm working with somebody, we're in here, I pin their arm, and I just spin drive right through their center line. Right there. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. Just high I bring behind my shoulder. You and me, because you know a little bit more than most people on the very first day.
Yep.
Getting a little into the weeds of this, but this is good. These are good questions, you know?
Because the issue with like when you're learning basics,
Yeah.
one main thing that they don't teach is distance.
Yeah.
They teach you the stance.
Yep.
They teach you all the basic stuff, but in order to make sense of that in a sparring session, you have to understand distance.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about distance a lot, because distance management, you live and die by
Yeah,
distance.
you actually went over that in some of the
You
videos.
know? Yeah, you know, I teach 3 stances. I teach the outside stance, that's the one I just showed you. I teach the middle distance stance, and then I teach the inside stance, you know? So my guys recognize the differences between these distances. The outside stance is called the outside stance because you're outside of range. You know, I sit here, they're right there, and the only thing I can hit you with is first I have to step in with it, and your arm is acting as a barrier to my straight punches to your center line, and your other arm is acting as a barrier to that long slappy hook. And if I threw anything that wasn't those, you can see a big right hand coming. You can see a 5 coming. You got too much distance to cover. The second, so people get the wrong idea. When I say middle distance just means you're in punch line. It means the person no longer has to step to do the thing. So yeah, as soon as we can hit each other in the head, this is middle distance, which means I should adopt a middle distance guard. It means I need to create a barrier because I'm not going to have that tell of that person stepping in when they do everything. They can just sit here and bang, throw a shot off. So I need to layer in my defense. Obviously, I'm still trying to move laterally and move my head, but now instead of feet and head movement, it's now guard and head movement that's mostly keeping me safe here, okay? So, middle distance is right here.
But
And
you do want more.
I square up a little bit, yep. And I square up because when I'm in the middle distance, I need to absorb force laterally, I need to move laterally, I need to generate force laterally. The outside's like fencing.
Yep.
You're in, you're out. You're let anything. That's Manny Pacquiao. The middle distance, like Triple G or Chavez, I'm moving laterally. I'm hunting for those angles in those positions. So I need to be wider and stronger. Okay? Now, something I always make a point to tell guys when it comes to the middle distance is that wider and stronger, squarer, does not mean square. I said, I know, I got all these young cats that fucking, I tell them to square up, and they're like, they stand like some iron horse shit, you know? It's really important to remember, especially, you know, we're in the middle distance, we're guard to guard right here. I don't want to be here. Because if I'm here, you can throw either shot through my center line. That's a risky place to be. I still want to be here. Left hand to forehead, left hand to forehead. Because now, the only shot that I can throw to your center line is my 5. And you've got to tell to feel it and see it coming so you can protect. I can't really throw my 6, assuming this elbow's tight. I can't really throw my 6 without catching that elbow. All right, and your shoulder protects you from my 4, and my 3 would be so big and slappy, you'd get the better of it every single time. You know? So again, we talk about lane theory a lot. You know, you'll learn lane theory at the start. You learn where do I need to position myself to throw punches. And then the next level of understanding is, oh, when I'm in certain positions with my opponent, I know what punches they're going to throw. Get ahead of it a little bit.
Yeah.
The next level would be I can bait punches because I understand that. All right. The final level would be I can bait bad punches. Floyd Mayweather is great at this. Okay, he's spectacular at baiting bad punches. He makes guys throw shots that are just not quite right, but they're worth the temptation, and then punishes them for that. You know. So that 5 is a really good example of that. If you can get to this middle distance, put your forehead right on my wrist. Oh, well, there's really only one shot I can throw, and it's my 5, and it's going to be a bad punch because you can feel it coming, and you can defend, and you can counter. If you can trick a guy into throwing a punch from a bad position, you can really club it. And Floyd Mayweather is really good at that with his half guard, where somebody will throw the jab, and they'll sit down here. You really shouldn't throw the cross over your hip. But everybody throws that cross over the hip, and they either pull counters, or he slides through and counters over the shoulder. He's got all these options from tricking you, instead of throwing your cross here, to throwing it here. You're all twisted into yourself. You can't keep up with it.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to be crossing lanes if you can help it. And he's, I mean, I know you came from a money gym, so I won't talk too much shit. Floyd Mayweather is the best of the guys when he was fighting. But I still think he gets torn up by a lot of those other guys, you know, Leonard Combs and Chavez and a lot of those guys that weren't around when he was at his peak. You know?
Now, I mean,
But I'd love to see it.
It's like in Roberto Duran.
I'd love to see him.
That would be a fun one. I
Yeah.
don't know if I would like too much of the Sugar Ray.
Roberto Duran's my wife's.
Yeah.
I like Roberto Duran.
I'm trying to eventually get to that.
Yeah.
He's so layered.
He is.
Things he does.
And he looks very different throughout his career.
Yes.
So like it's really hard, you really got to make a point. Okay, who am I studying? Am I studying Duran at lightweight, or am I studying Duran at middleweight? Because the Duran that fought a Hagler is a very different Duran than the Duran that fought like Cuevas.
I did like an in-fighting evolution.
Yeah.
And I saw the different techniques throughout the journey. From David Hughes.
Yep.
All the way to Barkley.
Great.
And
that's a good line.
You started doing like different things.
Yep.
You know, and yeah.
Those are the guys that I'm really studying right now. So like right now, I'm obsessed. If you don't mind, it's just kind of like a podcast. TED talking for a second. You know, I'm really obsessed with finding what I refer to as like a true boxing style, in the sense that it is the most efficient, relaxed, simplistic boxing style.
That's literally the theory for the Soviet Union.
Yeah, exactly.
That was what
but they got it wrong. They might have started there, but bouncing around the whole time is not efficient. That's not an efficient thing to do.
But they wanted
throwing these long, poorly structured punches is not efficient. You know, I look at efficiency and I look at James.
Yeah.
I look at Sandy Savage. You know, these are the guys that I look at. I look at Henry Hank. You know, those are the guys that I really like. Benny Briscoe, Marvin Hagler.
Aren't those other guys?
You know, yeah. Well, I'm even dodging some of the older kids.
Okay.
Because I really like those old guys. Jack Johnson's a great example of a guy who's super efficient.
Yeah.
He ties guys up, he makes them work hard, but he's not doing shit. You know, that's the idea. And especially because like my golden score, I don't know how much of my library you've watched. You know?
Only
a lot.
Yeah. Stuff and like maybe a couple.
But my goal is I want to be the greatest Masters Division fighter this country has ever seen. So my goal is to be the best of the old guys.
Is that like the goal to 100 fights?
Yep, I want to get 100 fights before I'm forced to them, because they're going to force me to go Masters when I turn 41. So I got to get those 100 fights before I turn 41, you know? And, you know, the first thing that retires most guys, Pacquiao talks about it after the Ugas fight. It's their legs. He says, I can't bounce the way I used to. I can't move the way I used to. Okay, so that means I can't have a style if I want to fight when I'm an old head. All right, where I'm bouncing the whole time. And I also can't have a style where I'm all up and down like a Mike Tyson peekaboo. That burns out your leg. You need to have a style where you're standing. Floyd stands. All right, James Toney stands. George Foreman stands. Jack Johnson stands. All these guys that fought deep into their 40s, some of them into their 50s, you know, Bernard Hopkins, he stands. They fight right here. You should never be using more energy to move than if you were like on a hike. It's nice and easy. That's what you want. You want to be efficient. You want to save yourself. And it's the same thing with that shoulder roll. You know, my arms are going to get tired. They're going to get weaker as I get older. You know, I'm not going to be able to sit here catching all these shots, you know. I got to let that shoulder do the work. Relax, turn with it, frame with it, make it easy. That's the idea. The easier the better. Now, that's not the style that I teach everybody. That's the style that I'm trying to get a handle on. Eventually I'll teach it everybody.
Because you're also at an age where it's more relevant.
I'm thinking about longevity.
Exactly.
You know, I'm thinking about longevity.
Exactly.
You know, I figure the biggest victory in this sport, for me, as somebody who really loves it and is passionate about understanding it, is being able to do it as long as I can. So I want to build a style that allows me to do it as long as I can. That's the idea, you know. Anyway, so getting back into this. Good. Nice. We're in stance, nice and strong. You're baiting bad shots, okay? It's the same thing you would do out the outside. We're on the outside, you feint like you're stepping in, and you get me to pull the trigger on a 2 that's way too long, you baited a bad shot. Nothing changes when we hit the middle distance. You're hiding on my wrist right here, and I throw a 5 because that's all I got. You baited a bad shot, and you kill it with that right hand. Make sense? That's the idea. Okay, cool. The next cool thing about these interactions is there's a trade-off between speed that you can establish the position and security from the position. Okay? So what I mean by that is, when I take a lane, I can attack as I take the lane on the very first beat. We're right here, and I can just go bang, bang. I can throw on that very first step. But this is a 50-50 position. I might have led it, but I don't actually have any advantage that you don't have. You and me can both sit here and we can both throw a 3. Boom, that's what we got. It's a 50-50 position. All right, I can get there quick. All right, I can attack quick, but it doesn't really have any advantage. If I take a short angle, bang, bang, I've cleared your cross lane, you can still hit it with your 3, so this hand needs to be up to be responsible. This hand's free to attack your center. All right, so I'm safe from one of the things that you can attack me with. All right, and it takes me 2 beats to get that shot. I go 1, 2. The deep angle takes me 3 beats to get my shot off, but I'm completely safe. So that's the balancing act. If you can find 3 beats, you can create a brief moment of security. You can throw any shot you want. All right?
And timing
Matters a lot. 3 beats.
Long
So if you watch my feet, the lane, bang. First beat I can attack. The short angle, bang, bang. Second beat I can attack. The deep angle, bang, bang, bang. Third beat I can attack. So it's this constant trade-off. All right? The cool thing about boxing is it's a perfect closed system. Everything nerfs itself. The developers don't even show you shit. It's great. You game it all?
Little bit.
Little bit. I just got Silk Song. It's kicking my ass. I love that game though. I'm having fun.
I haven't played that one.
That's a fun one. I've been waiting like 10 years for that game to come out. Because Hollow Knight was the original. And I love that game.
Is that like PC game? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's
Not you.
I at one point attempted to it.
Yeah.
But it's just like I tried to go with the screen.
It's a game of keep up.
World
It's
of
hard.
Warcraft, and
Yeah.
I was just like, this is
How
gonna
old are you?
destroy my life. 30.
Okay, yeah. You're
Yeah.
older than most.
I was like, this is gonna destroy my life. Like,
That's fair. You respect that.
yeah, I was like, it's too addicting.
I used to game a lot more when I was younger. Now I play like one game. I like get it. I'll spend a couple weeks getting excited about it, and then I'm back.
I do it like
back to the
I
grind.
own just a PS5.
Nice.
Barely ever touch it.
Yeah.
It's only when I'm because I'm like doing the workouts and I'm healing from them. If I'm not wanting to watch like anime,
Yeah.
and I get sick of it.
You've watched Evo all the way through? Have you watched Jimmy no Evo all the way through? Boxing anime?
Yeah, I have.
I talk more interest.
Yeah.
Let's go. My tattoo's inspired by Takamura's logo. You know? I love it. I love that.
I didn't even know that was I thought what? So the eagle, I thought he was there.
Yeah, he does the bear stuff and he does the eagle stuff too. They do both.
Okay.
He's just a fucking animal, bro.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, so these are the positions, all right? So again, you step to a lane. As you step, you can throw that 6-3. Sorry, right uppercut. Yes. Bang, bang. The angle. Otherwise, you're flattening out that 3. There you go. You don't want to make that 3 slap. You want to give yourself the room, okay? So again, bang, bang. And the other nice thing about this, it means you've always got the right foot down to drive it. So I can throw that 6 extra hard because I don't have to do this and step while I throw it. I can just launch right off of that foot into that strike. Bang, bang. Very important having that foot down, okay? Good. Again, that short angle is step with the left foot, and then now the left foot's down, and you can throw that 5 while you hit it. So short angle, left foot, bang, nice and powerful. Beautiful, okay? Good, and that means you have to keep you safe. Wonderful. And the deep angle, like I said, 3 beats. You go left, right, and then as soon as that right foot hits, you can drive into that shot. And that's a very powerful shot. Not enough people spend enough time talking about boxing position.
Yeah.
And talking about the beats that are necessary to do something, the rhythm, the positions that are necessary to do something. You can't force these shots. I don't want to throw my 5 like this as I go to my short angle. There's nothing on it. And I see everybody try to do this. Everybody tries to attack on that deep angle on the second beat, and they go like 1, 4. They get all twisted on themselves because they got no control. You need to have the correct foot down to lever against to generate force.
Now I think about it, the only thing I do the deep angle.
Yeah, it's just like when you exit.
Deep.
Yeah,
I never
Yep.
did it. That's why when you said do the
Yeah.
step pivot, I immediately went into my long range.
Yep.
Like if I'm maintaining the
Yep.
distance,
Yep. And you just coast way out of line of fire of that right hand. Absolutely.
Maintain this.
And that's the thing, and you do, so I saw when you first took that angle, you do what a lot of people do. You step that left foot out. You don't really want to do that unless you plan on getting out of it. You want to step that left foot.
Okay, when I say distance,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to actually hit you.
Yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, yeah.
And that's the thing. The read, because you think about it the way you think about it, you step that foot out, you coast out of danger.
Yeah.
Right? But if you think about it offensively, that
different,
foot will
different.
always come right in. And it's scary. You heard me talking to Kevin a little bit about this. My feet need to be able to make a beeline for the thing that I'm hitting while my head gets offline.
Okay.
If I get stuck doing this and like 2-stepping around somebody, I'm never going to get to them. I'm just going to end up getting stuck, stepping back and forth. So hold on, look at my feet. Watch where my feet go. My feet go straight in. Whether my head's going to the left, or my head's going to the right, or my head's going under, my feet need to get to the person. Does that make sense? Otherwise, especially, I don't know what weight you are, but you've got a lot of muscle on you.
I just weighed
You're
myself.
probably short for your weight class. I'm just guessing.
Well, I actually fight at 140, but I weighed in early at 174.
Okay, yeah.
I'm currently
When was the
174.
last time you fought at 140? You sound like my guy Tristan. You know Tristan from the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Tristan's like, I fight at 139. Motherfucker walks around as big as me. Walks around like 165. It's huge.
Yeah.
That's fun.
But this is okay. He might be different though. I'm a truck driver by
I did that for a year.
So,
I got my CDL and I drove a 12 wheeler up and down the East Coast.
You get big.
It's the worst job.
And I hate it.
It's tough because the money's great.
I hate it.
Yeah. Like you
Lifestyle.
sleep in the truck 3 days a week. Like that sucks, man.
I'm the extreme. For as long as I work, I'm on that truck.
Yeah.
So I just finished 6 months.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
goodness.
just finished 6 months. So 6
It's
months.
okay, you get a paycheck at the end, and you haven't been spending it too much because you're on the road.
It's a country.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Duh. Yeah, that makes sense. Go somewhere where that money will go.
Okay, but yeah, I've never had someone
Think about those
in the
positions.
basics, go over that. So that's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, so like those are the basics. Like the thing about boxing, like you know this, is boxing is like chess. Where like you can learn the techniques of chess in like 5 minutes. And then you can spend your whole life trying to master it. You know, these positions are the basics, you know, but you can spend your whole life learning the context and when it's appropriate.
Yeah, it's
Which is the thing that's really hard. It's not just like, I say this guy all the time, and you know this, it's not just like one day you learn a technique, you're like, oh, now I know the good technique, and I'm a good boxer. No, man. A good boxer is a guy who's good at this. That's it. It sounds funny, but like just the ability to do those simple things well in the right moments will make you great. Again, Crawford's a great example. I assume you watched that whole fight. It was so good.
Actually, I did. I slept.
I went to sleep and then I woke up and watched it.
I would sleep. I woke up. And I woke up.
You watched the Coco main, Lester Martinez versus Christian Billy. That was a ton of fun.
Gee.
I thought Martinez took it, but it was a very close fight.
I came to the fight with no respect for the ability because I thought his technique was kind of
Yeah.
but then I didn't know he was that.
Yeah.
But if it was a 12-round fight, Martinez would have gotten
I think so.
So
Yeah.
he
That was a really fun fight because both of them are middle distance specialists. And Billy's a specialist out of the high guard. Martinez is a specialist out of that nice relaxed half guard. And it's fun watching style matches.
I just didn't think his athleticism was that high. I saw the muscles, but I didn't think he was going to.
Yeah, but you and me both know that don't matter. For sure.
Exactly. That's why I didn't think he was going to blast. That game at 12 rounds, it would have.
Very impressive. They did a good job. We'll probably see them run that one back. I'd be
So
surprised.
you showed me this one.
Yep.
Now what about this one?
Yeah, so here, now we're there, okay, yes. So I always show people this side because this side is physically way easier. Stepping and pivoting is easier. But it's tactically way riskier because you're moving into the opponent's power side hand, okay? This side is physically a little more odd, going to the open side, but it's much safer. Because if you go to the open side, then you're behind the person's shoulder, you're outside of the person's feet in their line of fire, you can clobber. I'm a firm believer that the open side angle, as in you getting to your opponent's closed side, is the most dominant position you can have in the sport. Here's how we do it, right? So, I'm going to take a big step through, like I'm switching stances. Go with me. And then I'm going to take a small pull as I turn back into my original stance. That's all it is. Everybody wants to make this movement way more athletic than it is. It is not that athletic. All right, if big fat James Toney can do it up at heavyweight all the time, over and over again, it doesn't need any athleticism. So if you watch me do it, we're in stance right here. Watch my feet. 1, 2. I finish with my left foot pointed at your left. That's what I want to do. So if you do that to me, 1, 2. Perfect. That's exactly what you do. And you should be just close enough to grab that 3 through my side. That's what we want to do. Make sense? All right. I have a lot of young guys ask me, you see, coach, how do I get more knockouts? How do I get more finishing? You know? And what they want me to tell them is, do this one weird exercise. Doctors don't want you to know. Like, that's not really the answer. The honest answer is that most athletic young men have plenty of power to knock somebody out. You're just dog shit playing opportunities to do it. You know, if you and me are standing in front of each other and trying to knock each other out, it's hard because when I throw, I know you're going to throw back. I know you're going to move. But if I put you here, you don't have any defensive responsibility. You can hit me as hard as you can. You don't got to worry about windup. You don't got to worry about tell. You don't got to worry about getting hit back. You don't got to worry about shit. You can just haul off and club. That's the secret. Yeah. Yeah. I've knocked out a lot of guys, and almost all those knockouts are with my tight right hand right over their shoulder. Because there's nothing they can do.
So
don't worry about
you gave me information about the people you're fighting.
Yeah.
So it means you're not fighting people 6'2".
Yes, I fought plenty of guys.
Oh, okay, because you said right on the chin.
Yeah, I used to get that.
So you do it at an angle.
Yeah, just argue.
You just argue.
So yeah, they could be way up here. You just turn that shot out. That's it.
Okay.
I got to fight. It's not on the YouTube channel. It's me beating another boxing coach in the state. But we came to the gym with some of our differences. He was 6'7", 210. I beat the shit out of that guy.
Yeah.
You just chop him down, man. Piece by piece. Just chop him down.
Now they're on this. Well, now this is not beginner stuff.
No,
but
none of this lesson's been beginner stuff.
But we're about to get a little deeper now. We're about to get a little deeper now.
Please.
Because we were talking about fighting taller.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So when you go into those tactics,
Yep.
do you have a structure of how you teach someone to approach a taller?
Yeah, of course, definitely. Yeah.
You go through the 1, 2, 3s?
Yeah, of course. The big thing to remember if you're fighting taller opponents is remember what your advantages are as the smaller guy.
Yeah.
All right. I go, Reddit. I go on R Amateur Boxing. I don't think there's ever a subreddit that I subscribe and unsubscribe from more than R Amateur Boxing. Half the time I'm like, I gotta get on this. These idiots need me. And half the time I'm on there, it's like, there's no helping these idiots. I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
But I get flamed for this all the time. But I'll die on this hill. 1,000 out of 1,000 times, I would rather be the shorter guy in the fight. I would always rather be the shorter guy in the fight. Now, of course, equating for weight. I don't want to fight Garrett. Garrett's 250 pounds with an 8-pack. All right, I don't want to fight Garrett.
If you were 250 pounds.
Yeah, then I'd rather be the shorter guy. Exactly. Assuming that the weight is equated. The taller you are, that doesn't bother me one bit. Here are your advantages as a smaller person. So the first advantage as a smaller person is that they can't have direct access to your chin. When you're down, all these shots come down into the top of your head. You look at Triple G, you look at Chavez, you look at Duran, you look at Frazier, you look at Dwight Muhammad Qawi, famous small guys.
Yeah.
They use that head, it might as well be a buckler, it might as well be a shield. Ding, 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 catching shots, Generally, I'm the shorter guy in my fights, and I've never been hurt with a punch in 24 years of boxing. Never. I've been hurt with the body thousands of times. I've gone down a million times to the body. But I've never been hurt with a shot to my head, and it's because I hide my chin right down here, I fight nice and low, and all those shots that are coming at me are always going to ding off the top of my head. Being a tall guy is scary. Those shots are coming up into your chin, it's really, really tough, The other thing about being a tall guy is it's really obvious where I'm attacking. When I'm throwing to your head, it's going to your head. When I'm throwing to your body, you can see it. It's going to your body. So there's a tell there. It makes it easy to defend. It makes it easier to read those shots. Small guys, it's really hard to know where a shot's going. It creates a lot of ambiguity. If I'm down here and I pull this hand out, well, where's it fucking going?
Well,
you don't know. You don't know. When I pull that shot, it's coming. It's coming. And it's really hard to tell where it is. And small guys need to weaponize that ambiguity. People talk about not hooking on the line, but if you get down low, you're not on the line anymore. I'm not sitting here in front of your fist.
Do you teach the square?
I don't know about the square. I teach 2 levels. Okay. So I teach. I don't know.
That's like the custom Yamaha.
No, I don't know that one.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it. Yeah, I teach. So I think there are 10 head slots. There are 5 high and 5 low.
I got you.
That's it. So there's the close lane, jab lane, center lane, cross lane, open lane, and then just low. Low jab lane, low center lane.
Okay, well, where is the low specifically?
Low is, low center lane. Low center lane would be just below your shoulders, right there. It's 1 head's width down from where I was before, as if I ducked a shot.
I got you.
So if we're fighting each other, and this is my regular stance, and you throw a punch at me, that's my low stance. I'm just barely under it, right there. I wouldn't want to get any lower than that. There are a couple things I talk about in boxing that are finite resources. All right, one of them is depth. If you keep going down, you will literally corner yourself against the floor, and you have nowhere to go. Now, there are obviously exceptions. We've all seen that cool footage of Bernard Whitaker, and we've all seen that cool footage of Mike Tyson, where he's like down here, slipping shots, and rolling out. He teaches the square. It's a different thing. That's interesting. I've never heard about the square.
So when he's doing that, he's training to get under the elbow.
Under the elbow. That's a good way to frame it. I always try to put my head on the elbow.
I got you.
So like when we in here, I'll try to put my head here, because then I can use it as a leverage point. I got on pin to move around something. We'll talk about that when we get to inside.
I think he says elbow because of uppercut.
Makes sense. Yeah, you want to get under where they can potentially start that shot. That makes perfect sense. Yeah. If I was coaching Tyson, that sounds like a tactic that I would want him to know. He's got a very specific style, Okay, where were we at the start of that? We were talking about
The 1, 2, 3s of the fighting.
Oh, fighting tall. Yes. Okay. So if you're the smaller person, it's easier for you to see shots coming, and it's easier for you to hide your shots. All right. It's easier for you to hurt the person, and it's harder for the person to hurt you because your chin's protected. All right. And then the other thing is you have a distinct leverage advantage. You know, you have a very big leverage advantage where you can stand this person up out of their stance very, very easily. Okay. Whether you're catching an elbow, whether you're putting your head on their chest or their shoulder, you have a leverage advantage, and you need less room to work. You know, so as somebody like myself who's an inside specialist, that's my favorite distance to fight at. You know, I haven't really run into anybody at the amateur level that understands how to fight on the inside as well as I do. I feel like Royce Gracie, UFC 1 sometimes, which is nice, you know. But my little arms need less room to work than their big arms do. And their big positions are a lot more obvious. So, you know, being a tall guy is scary. You're short, just like me.
Yeah.
You know, you've never been a tall guy. All right? But oh, that's fair. No, that's valid. That's valid. Okay, that's valid. So then maybe you understand this. It is extremely scary in a way that is not as scary with a tall guy. When you're in there with a small guy that really knows what they're doing, you feel like you're on a surfboard with a shark, man. They're swimming in front of you and sliding around and taking little chunks out of you, and it's really hard to deal with a small guy.
Yeah, in America, not Philippines.
Yeah.
It was easier in the Philippines.
Yeah. Because of the amateur style.
Yeah, and the ones who came through, they just I was able to pick them apart.
Yeah.
But when I came to the States, I did like one sparring session with the short 120 stocky Mexican.
Yeah.
And he did what you said. He was down here, and he'd either rip and go shots, and he'll rip a shot out top. So it's just like whenever I see those opportunities, just control it to where that opportunity doesn't come.
That's right. That's smart.
Because it's like you just don't.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you know, being tall has advantages, being small has advantages, but I am much more familiar, confident, and comfortable with the small guy advantages. You know, I'd rather have those. You know, I never get hit harder when I'm working with little guys. The shots that come up at you, it's harder to hide from them, you know? I can tuck my chin from a tall guy, but a small guy, he's coming up to that chin. It's easy to catch it, you know?
How do you from long range? You're tall. I'm short.
Cool.
Right? Maybe closing this.
Yeah.
We're at long range.
Tactically. So I always tell Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson. You want to be a tall guy against a good small guy, that's how you do it. You need to jab, you need to feint to get him to show his hand. All right? You can't move straight backwards the whole time. You need to frame and you need to move left and right.
As a tall.
Okay. So if I'm the tall person, I'm giving you lots of jabs. I'm giving you lots of feints, being deceptive about where I'm going to be, so it makes it hard for you to plant your feet and do anything. All right, and if you get in, when I jab, for example, you get in, I'm going to frame on you and move sides. Be physical. Because the small guy's going to be physical with you when he gets in. He's going to push your elbows loose and he's going to start ripping. So be physical first. When he gets down low, as he has to do to get to you, break his posture. Frame him out. You know, I don't know if you watched my video on George Foreman versus Frazier.
I haven't.
Great video. I legitimately believe there are a couple fights that I believe are unwinnable for one guy. I think that fight is unwinnable for Frazier. And Frazier's one of my favorite fighters, all right? I do not think that there is a single set of tactics or strategies that Frazier could have used to beat George. If you build a guy in a lab to beat him, George Foreman's too good at it. He's better at wrestling than Frazier is. You know? Maybe Frazier double legs him and puts him in an arm bar. That's what Frazier is.
That's what I'm saying.
That's it, exactly.
Remember the guy who got disqualified against Mike Tyson?
Yeah, exactly.
Just call it.
Oh, God, I used to know his name. Francois Baffa? Is that it?
I don't remember.
All right, doesn't matter.
But we know.
Yeah, exactly. You need to break the person's posture, all right, and you need to get offline. Because again, we talk about resources that are limited. Grounding your back is a limited resource. You can't just keep using it and it's gone. You've got to turn. You've got to be the manager. You've got to frame and turn.
So as a smaller person, are you closing the distance?
I closing the distance?
How I closing?
On somebody who's framing?
On someone who is taller.
With somebody who is taller. Bait the jab. Use the jab as a bridge to get in. That's the big
What's
thing.
your typical bait?
So my typical bait is just tease range, you know? So yeah, if we pretend that I'm the smaller guy, you're literally asking me like, how do you box?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, okay, that's a good question.
Well, I'm giving your
that's
the taller person.
So like, I'm going to spend a lot of time creating ambiguity.
Yeah.
So I'm going to spend a lot of time fainting and moving loudly, and I want to get you to show your hand. When I feint, I want you to throw that jab. Cool, I want to get a bead for your rhythm.
Establishing the range.
Yeah, I need to know your rhythm. Or sorry, your range.
So
Everybody's range is different. Exactly. So I always imagine when you think about somebody's jab, somebody's got a good jab. It's like they've got a brick wall in front of them. And every brick is a fist. And they build one brick out of it. My head's over here, I run into that brick. My head's over here, I run into that brick. That's somebody with a good jab. So I need to get them to commit to a brick so I can slide through on the other ones. That's the idea. So if I feint and you throw that jab, I can slide in after the fact.
Okay.
You know, or if you feint, or if I feint and you throw the jab, if it catches me, I can ride it. So you pull it back, and I can slide in with that jab.
Okay.
All right. I can also just own those lanes. You know, so if the other guy looks kind of timid and he doesn't want to lead, I'll lead and I'll own that space. But I'm not trying to hit them. I'm trying to own the space. That's important to remember. So what I mean by that is, I'll jab just at your hand, way out here. Because if I jab at your hand, guess what you can't do? You can't jab. I own that space, so I can slide right in behind you. Same thing when I'm moving to my left, I'll jab at your right hand. So that even if you throw that right hand when I'm going over here, my arm's in the way.
Yeah.
You know, it's traffic. We talk about traffic a lot. It creates an obstruction to that shot. You know? So if they're forcing me to lead, I gotta get something that owns this lane so that I can pass through it. I can't sit here and anticipate when that lane's gonna be owned by you, that's gonna get me killed. Especially me, like, I am not fast. One of the reasons why I understand boxing positionally so well is because I am not fast both as a rote attribute and as like a reaction. You know, guys catch me sleeping all the time, where I'm sitting here like waiting for the jab, and they jab me and I'm like, just a little too far behind.
How would you move in from this side? Jab with the right hand?
Yeah, I like to jab the right hand.
And then
All right.
how would you push?
Yep, and then you got to attack center line when you're there. You know? So like I'm here, I'll jab at this hand to circle over here. All right, and then I'll try to give you something to worry about. So what I put you in is what's called a T position. That's what their coach was Marvin Hagler. You don't know that. Marvin Hagler's under our ring.
Oh,
all right. Yeah. Marvin Hagler talks about that T position all the time, where he gets guys here, and then he can launch them over their heels. You know? So I'll jab at this hand to get over here, and then I'll diversify my attack to hit that center line. And what I really want you to do is I want you to either throw the right hand so I can get elbow side, and then really press my advantage, or like Lomachenko does, I'm moving this way, I'm jabbing at the right hand, you throw the left hand, and I can get up.
I see.
So I'm lucky.
Remember, you're not closing in.
No, I don't really need to.
So you don't close it?
I mean, I'll close it on that side if I'm already in. It's really risky to just like move to the right side.
The
Liver? Yeah. No, it's because of the threat of your right hand. So like what I like to do, if I'm moving to your right side, I'm either going to do it, if it stands, from the outside, and then once I'm clear of that elbow, lean in, or I'm going to do it from the inside, where I'm going to slide across. But you never really want to move there from range, because I don't want to pass through your cross line.
Yeah.
There are too many horrible things that can happen to you if your head's right here. I'm pincered between your right hand and your left hand. This is the most dangerous like little spear in boxing, right here in front of your chest. So I'm either inside of it, sliding across, where I can create traffic on your arms, or I go around it and then engage. Does that make sense? Okay. And there are guys who are braver than me, or like less risk adverse and cautious than I am. We call them Mexicans, right? Who will happily pass through that space. But I don't like to pass through that space. I am frequently punished when I pass through that space, so I just try to close it off. It's safer not to. And again, if you watch guys who are well-educated guys, you know, again, George Foreman, James Toney, Bernard Hopkins, Floyd Mayweather, they don't really spend a lot of time in front of that person's right shoulder. They spend all their time out or here, in. Does that make sense?
And I mentioned this because I remember you talking about it. How when you're like actually, you don't want to show up to the ear.
Yeah, and again, like inside fighting 101.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that. But again, look at Jack Johnson, look at Henry Armstrong, look at Roberto Duran. These guys spend a lot of time hanging out on the right shoulder. I spend a lot of time hanging out on the right shoulder when I'm on the inside. Julio Cesar Chavez, exactly. Who was that Hispanic guy who fought? That was a great all-inside fight. Velasquez? I think it was a V name. I'm probably not even close. It's probably Martinez. I'll look it up later. Don't worry.
Okay. I have a highlight of
Yeah.
one of those fights. When it was a title fight, he spend all the time pressed up against
Yeah.
the entire fight.
Yeah, and that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But again, whenever you break those boxing 101 rules, you assume associated risks that come along with that. You know? So it's not to say that if you're an educated fighter, you can manage those risks, of course. But for a beginner, I generally just tell them to avoid the right shoulder. Because if they just avoid the right shoulder, the line of my back blocks off your right hand, and my hand's in control of your left elbow, my head's safely hidden behind your shoulder. It's just a easier across the board position to work in.
Okay, but
There's less
so let's get a little bit more of it.
Please.
Southpaw.
Southpaw. I can fight southpaw.
Okay, so same would apply.
Kind of. Yeah. So if you watch my video on what makes southpaw different, you got homework to do. Yeah. So there are lots of things that make southpaw different, but the biggest thing that makes southpaw different is swap for me. I'll be the southpaw. The biggest thing that makes southpaw different is my liver side is switch. That's the most dangerous thing about being a southpaw. You know. So when I get in, what I really need to do immediately is I need to tie up this lead hand. All right. So if you watch, Whitaker's a great example. All right. He knows how to fight on the inside as a southpaw. The first thing Whitaker does every single time is he ties up that left hand and then he starts talking to fight and working with the other. And that's what it's all about. So when we move in, we tie up, whether it's an overhook or an underhook. You got the underhook, I got the overhook. And then if you want to succeed here, you're going to get your head on my shoulder. Good. Then I know it sounds counterintuitive, but you're going to walk your left foot inside of my foot. Because now you've got that T position, just like Hagler on the other side. So now you've got me square, all right? You've taken my lead arm out of the equation. You've got the inside track here, and you can rip my body, you can rip my head, and you can catch and pitch if I try to hit you, bang, 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 bang. And the whole time you're doing this, because you have this nice tie-up, because you have this dominant position, you can be walking over my foot. And now it's a lot harder for me to punch back, even with any authority, because I don't have anything to lever into that shit. Okay. So again, if you watch Hagler, if you watch Whitaker, if you watch Lomachenko, these guys all immediately tie up that lead arm of their opponent, get their foot on the inside, walk this person over their heels, and keep walking. That's the idea. And then a lot of southpaws will just switch to orthodox on the inside.
Okay.
Yeah, you see that happen already. That's what Usyk does.
Okay.
Whenever Usyk ends up on the inside, he says, "Oh, I should probably close off the top of the right hand," and he slaps that left shoulder in to protect himself. It all comes to the same thing. It's just principles about big traffic.
Okay. Okay. Well,
yeah, and we'll talk about that more. And we can look at tape that supports that too. I got all sorts of tape and videos.
do you have specific shots? Like I think you mentioned getting on this side and throwing this punch over the shoulder.
Yep, it's always center line first. Yep, so I like to throw a 5 and then that over.
Okay,
For
so
the same reason, when you take this side, you always attack center line first.
tall guy, both orthodox.
Tall guy, both orthodox.
You're trying to get to that side. So let's just say
You're trying to get to this side.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to
cool.
that side.
Yeah, so slip to the ankle. There you go, you slip to the ankle. You hit my center arm with a 5. Bang, that either lifts my, that was right.
Okay.
Left up. Yeah. You either lift my head up or I hunker down, but either way, I create a vacuum right here for you to follow up with that shot.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great one. Tyson. Hook, bang, bang.
I got shoulder.
Very
So
nice.
they, and
Yep.
then it's the slip.
And that's the other thing, like I talked about this in our video on angles, where I talk about how you can't just take naked angles. An angle has to be augmented. It has to be dressed up with something.
Yeah.
So, if you're punching me, I can slip to an angle, or I can drop step to an angle.
It's
I
not just
can
open.
break to an angle, I can frame to an angle, I can punch to an angle, I can feint to an angle, I can do a million different things. And none of them are just like, walk to an angle, you're good. Yeah, walk to an angle. Does that make sense? Yeah, that's our day for you.
Okay.
Yeah, we did all. That's like a TED talk.
Yeah.
All right, it's like a TED talk.
We'll just keep
Yeah,
doing
we'll
it.
keep doing it.
We'll keep doing it.
Yeah, if you want to keep chatting, I'm gonna go get lunch right now.
Yep.
Yeah, so we can go get lunch. You want to grab some food?
Yeah, we can do that.
Let's do it. Lots of good spaces around here.